Now, yesterday, Eminem surprised the entire world and his fans with a new album titled Kamikaze. And let me just say that there's a lot of things to talk about here. M was definitely not holding back on this one. We saw a very unapologetic side from him on this project where he was addressing the negative feedback his Revival album got. He name dropped about 1 million people on here. Some of those name drops were definitely him throwing shots, while some of them could definitely be considered shoutouts. To summarize it in one sentence, Eminem came for the rap industry's neck. And there's a lot of things to talk about here, so let's not waste any time and let's talk. Now, the intro track is titled The Ringer, and let me just say that as soon as I heard that intro, I knew that Eminem was not here to play because he's definitely on his Slim Shady shit on this one. So the first person he takes shots at is Vince Staples on these lines right here. As you can see, he says, "If I press the issue just to get the anger out, Full Magazine could take Staples out." This is Eminem pretty much responding to Vince Staples for some comments that Vince made last year when Eminem released his BT freestyle. Vince Staples flat out said that Eminem's freestyle was trash and that he can do better, and now he's responded back to Vince. The next person Eminem calls out is Joe Budden on these lines right here. Now, he does actually mention Joe by name on another song later in the album, which we will get to, but if you're not aware, in the past Joe Budden has been very critical of Eminem.
All right.
It's trash. One of the worst songs I've ever heard. That is great content, but M is always going to provide great content because this is one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
And on the Chloroseptic remix, Eminem had a couple subliminal disses towards Joe Budden, which definitely added fuel to their beef. And then later on the same song, he name drops Lil Yachty with this line right here. I can't believe that people are calling this a diss because to me, it's very far from one. I mean, he even says it himself. It's not a diss towards Lil Yachty, it just ain't for me. But then later on the same song, Eminem throws some shots at the lean-sipping, drug-promoting new rappers with these lyrics right here. And then a little bit later, he mentions Machine Gun Kelly, Lil Pump, and Lil Xan. When it comes to Machine Gun Kelly, him and Eminem have actually had a not so good relationship because of something MGK said in the past. 6 years ago, when Machine Gun Kelly was an upcoming rapper in hip-hop, he tweeted this about Eminem's daughter. Okay, so I just saw a picture of Eminem's daughter, and I have to say she is hot as fuck in the most respectful way possible because M is king. Now keep in mind, Eminem's daughter was 16 at the time and MGK had just turned 23. And a grown man saying that about your 16-year-old daughter, I mean, you getting called out is only a matter of time. And also another thing that happened because of this was Eminem blackballing MGK from multiple radio stations. He wasn't really getting the interviews he wanted. Multiple radio stations were refusing to play his music because they were all backing up Eminem. And then going back to him mentioning Lil Pump and Lil Xan, would I personally say that this is a diss against them? I would say that just because he's saying that they're a product of Lil Wayne, considering the Lil in their name, the face tattoos, the lean sipping, etc. To me, that's just Eminem stating facts straight up. And then a little bit later on the song, he says, "If you ain't Kendrick or Cole or Sean, then you're a goner." Obviously here he's reinforcing the saying about whack rappers won't last. If you're not an artist with substance, then you won't last. That's pretty much what I got out of it. But there's actually another rapper on here that Eminem is dissing, and I'm really surprised not a lot of people have caught this one. When I say his name, you might think I'm reaching, but hear me out. The rapper I'm talking about is NF. Now if you don't know who NF is, he's the artist who made the Let You Down song. So there's a part on the verse where Eminem says, "Especially an effing recovery clone of me." Now first of all, if you take a look at this sentence right here, he specifically says an effing, which equals to NF. I honestly thought that this was a complete reach when it hit me for the first time, but realize that Eminem is not swearing here and instead he's saying an effing. And if you put two and two together, you realize that there's no reason as to why he couldn't have just said the word fucking instead, because keep in mind, he says the word all over the album, and not only that, a couple lines before this specific line, there we have the word again, fucking. And considering NF is an artist who not only doesn't swear himself, okay, NF doesn't swear in his music, and he's been compared to Eminem his entire career for having a similar rapping style to him, that kind of just confirms it in my eyes. And then just add on to the fact that there's a NFing ad-lib in the background after that line. But moving on to another song on the album, which is Not Alike, and this is where it gets interesting. First of all, the instrumental is pretty much identical to the Look Alive song featuring Drake and Blackboy JB, and that's because it is produced by the same producer, which is Take Keith. By the way, I can't believe I actually heard Take Keith, fuck these niggas up on an Eminem song, like what? Anyway, so on the hook of this track, he's pretty much making fun of what sounds to be Migos, and specifically it really sounds like Bad and Bougie. He's really just imitating the new rappers just to show people how easy it is to rap like them. And then later on the song, he actually mentions MGK once again again with these lyrics right here. And as you can see, he's pretty much just dissing him once again to make the point that what he said about his daughter will not slide. And then moving on to the song Kamikaze, this is where he actually takes shots at the one and only Drake. So let's check out the bars Slim Shady had for Drake. You got some views, but you're still below me. Mine are higher, so when you compare our views, you get overlooked. And I don't say the hook unless I wrote the hook. And now I'm just freestyling in the vocal booth, and you know I've always spoke the truth. You lying through your teeth so much you broke a tooth, and it ain't something I need a phone to do. When I say I can't wait till I get a hold of you, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Line up rappers, take my pick like a photo shoot. Now let me just say that it's been a very tough year for my man Drake. First he got slaughtered by Pusha T, now he's getting slaughtered by Eminem. God damn. But looking at the bars Eminem had for Drake, as you could see, he had a line about Drake's album Views, using the word views to make the point that no matter how high up you are, I'm always gonna be above you. In other words, you're always gonna get overlooked. And then he also had a line about how he personally doesn't say the hook unless he writes the hook, which is a direct reference to Drake's ghostwriting scandal. And then of course on the same line, he's pretty much saying I could never use a ghostwriter. And then the line after, he talks about how he's freestyling in the vocal booth. He connects that directly to something Drake has been getting a lot of backlash for a very long time, which is this incident right here. Yes, Drake freestyling with the help of his BlackBerry. And then the last three lines are pretty straightforward, so we don't need any explaining for that. But moving on to the next song, which is Fall, and this is also the last song we'll be going over. The last three songs on here don't really have any interesting content, or should I say relevant content to this video, so I'll be skipping those three. But let's talk about Fall. Now this song right here is pretty much Eminem responding to the backlash, and he's doing that very aggressively. As a side note, this is probably my favorite track on the album by far, but let's talk about what he actually said on here. So on this part of the first verse, as you can see, he mentions Charlemagne, which he also did on the intro track The Ringer. Here he's directly just responding to Charlemagne the God, who's been very critical of Eminem, just like Joe Budden. And then on the same segment, we see another reoccurring topic, which is the new rappers of this generation. Here he's pretty much just saying what he said earlier on the album regarding the new rappers. They're not original, their rapping style isn't something unique, so they copy Migos and they copy Drake. Moving on to the second verse, here he mentions Joe Budden once again, and very surprisingly he also mentions my man DJ Academics, aka it's your boy DJ Academics. Let me just say that seeing Academics' name come out of Eminem's mouth has to be one of the most inspiring things about the song for me personally, and that's because Academics was at the same place I'm in right now only a couple years ago, and now he's getting dissed by Eminem. That is an honor, let me just say that. But as you can see, he mentions how Ac roasted his album and said that it was trash, which he did on the Everyday Struggle show. Now later in the song, M had some bars for Tyler the Creator, and it was these lyrics right here. Tyler create nothing, I see why you called yourself a bitch. It's not just cause you lack attention, it's cause you worship D12's balls. You're sacrilegious. If you're gonna critique me, you better at least be as good as or better. Get Earl the Hooded Sweater, whatever his name is, to help you put together some words more than just 2 letters. The fans waited for this moment like that feature when I stole this show. Sorry if I took forever. If you're wondering why Eminem is even calling out Tyler, this is happening because back in 2014, Tyler tweeted this critiquing the Shady 15 album that dropped around that time, and then on the same day Walk on Water by Eminem got released and it was trending all over Twitter, Tyler tweeted this: "Dear God, this song is horrible. Sheesh, how the fuck?" Now of course he didn't really specifically say Walk on Water is horrible, but then again the song was getting a lot of backlash when it did get released, and a lot of people thought it was bad, and of course what a coincidence, right? Because he tweeted that on the same day Walk on Water got released. And plus Tyler didn't really kill the rumor that he was talking about Walk on Water, which means that he most likely was talking about it. But as you could see on that same verse, he also dissed Earl Sweatshirt, who in the past made some negative comments about Eminem. He got asked in an interview back in 2015 if he still was a fan of Eminem, and he responded with what you see on the screen right now. And then moving on to the third verse of the track, which is the last thing we'll be looking at. On this verse right here, he responds to the rapper Lord Jamar, who said something about Eminem a couple years back. What he said was that Eminem is a guest in hip-hop because hip-hop is black culture. Now that you know what he said, these lines right here probably make way more sense to you. I inspired the Hobsons, the Logics, the Coles, the Shawns, the K-Dots, the 5-9s, and oh, brought the world 50 Cent. You did squat, pissed and moaned, but I'm not gonna fall. Bitch. I saw a lot of people on social media labeling this as a diss towards all the people he name dropped here, and I can't do nothing but disagree with that, just because he's really speaking facts here and it's not him throwing anyone under the bus or dissing them. He signed 50 Cent to Shady Records when he first came out. Hopsin's entire career has been influenced by Eminem since he started. Both J. Cole and Kendrick are inspired by and deeply respect Eminem. Same goes with Big Sean and Logic, so I don't really see any lies here. I think this is simply him punching back at all the people who are entertaining the thought that Eminem hasn't had any type of influence in hip-hop whatsoever, but clearly he has, and if you can't see the amount of people he's touched emotionally and the fact that 99% of rappers in the hip-hop industry love and respect him so deeply, then I don't know what to tell you. But all in all, what do I personally think about the amount of controversy Kamikaze has caused, and what do I personally think about all the people who were name dropped on here? Regarding the controversy the album has caused, I mean, it's bound to happen just because it is Eminem. We all know that Eminem doesn't hold back on what he truly feels, despite the level of success he's acquired. And keep in mind that everyone is listening when it comes to him. I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest, if not the biggest hip-hop artists living today. So him speaking his truth, that in itself is automatically gonna shake up the entire industry. And regarding all the people that he dissed, well, let me just say that Drake will never respond. Drake responding, or should I say Drake trying to respond to Eminem, would be pretty much suicide. There's no way he's gonna risk his credibility like this. I'm pretty sure he's just gonna let this one slide, because if he doesn't, let me just say that Drizzy will get smoked. And am I the only one who feels like the NF diss was completely unnecessary? I mean, here we have one of the most unproblematic rappers on the planet, and even he's not safe. And then regarding the shoutouts, let me just say that I'm really happy that Hopsin had the opportunity to get mentioned by his idol. If you've seen that video of Hopsin's reaction when he first heard his name on the album, then you know that it really meant a lot to him.
Whoa! Shit! Oh, shit! What the fuck? I didn't even know he knew who the fuck I was. God damn! He said don't tell him about the culture, implying that I'm part of the culture. Oh shit, man, I gotta call my mom. Fuck.
Of course, the J. Cole, Kendrick, Logic, and Big Sean shoutouts were also very dope, and it's interesting to see that he mentioned all those people in the same sentence. I know a lot of people wouldn't have put Big Sean next to J. Cole and Kendrick, and now that I think about it, Big Sean is dope, and I think that he does deserve more credit. And then the Joe Budden diss, yeah, that one was very obvious to me, and I wasn't really surprised to hear his name on there, but I was definitely surprised to hear DJ Academics get mentioned by M. That's really one name I didn't think there was a possibility Eminem would ever mention. And then the Machine Gun Kelly diss, well, I mean, you did call his 16-year-old daughter hot as fuck when you were 23 years old, so I can't really feel any type of compassion towards you. You getting slaughtered was only a matter of time. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then Lil Pump and Lil Xan, not too surprising here. I can't see Eminem being a fan of any of these new rappers, to keep it real with you. But on a side note, Lil Xan has definitely had the worst year of any rapper in 2018. He got caught up with the backlash surrounding the Tupac is boring comments. Tupac fans actually pulled up on him in real life, threatening to beat his ass up for what he said. And then very recently, the situation with Killy happened, where he was willing to beat him up because of their beef. And now he's getting dissed by Eminem on a song. That is tough. Now, that's what I personally think about this new Eminem album, and those are my thoughts surrounding all the people that he name dropped on the album. But what do you personally have to say about this entire situation? When it comes to what Eminem said about all these different people on his album, what are your general thoughts? Were you surprised by any of the subliminal disses and names you heard on here? And also, do you think this was a strong comeback from Eminem's side? Definitely let me know in the comment section below, and let's have a discussion about this.